A big welcome to the Young Hearts Run Free podcast. Laura, how are you doing this evening?
I'm really good, thank you, Stephen. How are you?
I'm great. All the better for having the delight of getting to speak to you this evening, which John and I are really excited about. We've hit you with a few questions already to ponder, and John, we love going through this, don't we? This is what
Mm,
we revel in.
most definitely. For want of a better expression, I'm a very nosy person, and I and I believe that everybody's got a story to tell, and we're really interested to hear what the Laura Watts story is. So, Laura, thinking way back, what brought you into the world of running? Take us from then to now. Give us a wee bit of an intro to who Laura Watts is.
Okay, so first of all, yeah, thank you so much for having me on. It's a real honour to be here. Laura Watts is just a normal girl trying to do extraordinary things. And I started running probably at school, like a traditional way of most of us started running. I was considered a long distance runner doing the 800 and 1500 metres, which does make me smile now. And also a reluctant member of the cross country team. And who knew then that I would now love running on trails and mud and bushwhacking so much. But so I ran at school. And when I left school, I still continued doing a little bit of running just to keep fit. Just to, just sort of running around the block or going to the gym. But it wasn't until 2002 when I went to watch the London Marathon for the very first time. I went with my friend's granddad, Bill Rollstone, who'd run the London Marathon several times. And we were at mile 20 and he was like so inspiring, and he was like cheering everyone, saying, "You're all heroes." And I could see the effort that everyone was putting in. And I just thought, I want to be one of those people. I really was totally inspired. And I mean, I always used to watch the London Marathon on TV, and I love that iconic shot of all the heads bobbing up and down when they're starting, thousands of people. So I went home that night, went for a run, and I was determined to do the London Marathon the following year, which I got a charity place, and I did. So I did the London Marathon in 2003, and I thought, right, that's a one-off. I've ticked that box now. Sort of fast forward a couple of years, went to live in Australia for a year, 2005 to 6, and I came back. I was like a year of drinking wine and eating cheese, put on like 2 stone in weight. And I thought, right, get running again. That is, the best thing for me. So signed up for the London Marathon in 2007. And then one marathon a year became 2 marathons a year, became 3. And 2016, I did my first ultra marathon. And it just literally snowballed. I've done like 12 marathons in 12 days, 52 marathons in 52 weeks, Ironman. And so, yeah, it's I love running basically. And that's how it all began.
Okay, lots to unpick already in there. There's not many guests send us a running CV, but Laura was very kind to do that. And you mentioned the London Marathon. Now, one of the stats on your running CV that you sent, Laura, I find quite phenomenal. You've done 15 London marathons.
Yes, I know.
That's
I'm very lucky to have. The first few years was charity places, but then I was getting quicker and quicker every year. So then I started getting the good for age places. So and that's how I've always managed to keep getting in, because of good for age. I mean, I'm just scraping in now because with the ultras I am a lot slower. But I think 2019 got my PB 3:30 and 6 seconds. I'm gutted because I stopped to see my family at like my 20. We took about a minute, so I could have got sub 3:30, but I'd never, wouldn't want to change those hugs and stuff. But I mean, I think last year I did it 3:42, so it's still great to get a 3, start with 3.
Brilliant.
Yes.
And also, there's this thing that happens on Young Hearts Run Free. One of us has run, sometimes both of us have run the same race as our guest. And the New York Marathon was Stephen's first marathon. Laura's done that in 2022. So there you go. There's that connection there as well, Stephen.
I love that.
Oh, were you there? What year did you do it?
2006.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was the debut.
It is a brilliant marathon. Hilly.
Yeah, It is hilly, deceptively, especially that Central Park
Yeah.
section towards the end is a bit bumpier than you'd want, but great experience.
Oh yeah. No, it's amazing. Actually, at work, I was nominated for this award for being inspiring, and they sent out a film crew to film me at the New York Marathon. So that made it kind of even more special, having like it was all videoed and had a little, 90-second YouTube or Instagram video about it. But
Is that video available to view still?
yes, yeah, it's on.
I'm watching it right now. I just went and flicked it on. I was honestly, it must have been AI at work, and I'm like,
that is
there's Laura in Central Park.
Yeah, that's funny. I will well, I'll send it to you afterwards. But Virgin Atlantic, who I work for, they shared it, and I think it's on Vimeo and obviously on my social media. So it was very lucky to have that experience.
Yeah, because we can add that in the show notes, and then our listeners can watch that as well. Brilliant. Movie star as well as runner.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
I'll save that one for later, Laura. I also noticed you're wearing the 100 Marathon Club vest.
Yes. I'm up to 179 now, working towards 200 marathons. But
Wow.
When I do, say, London Marathon, I normally dress up as Wonder Woman, which I've done since like 2019. But I mean, I'm looking for a new costume for so if your listeners got any ideas. I was thinking of running as Barbie in a box. That would have been quite fun. But then I thought I probably won't get a good time if I've got a big box around me. So I keep dragging out Wonder Woman, but I do love the fancy dress element of London.
Brilliant.
We've had a couple of other previous guests on who have run marathons in fancy dress. One being Nicky Johnston, a Scottish guy who's the fastest Elvis in the world. I think he did the Berlin Marathon in like 2:40 with an Elvis costume on. And then, John, remind me what John Kelly ran in. He ran the Boston Marathon or something, dressed as like a gaming character or something.
He did, yeah. But also, his very good friend, Damien Hall, ran his first marathon dressed as a toilet.
Oh my God. I love it.
Well. So we've had a number of weird and wacky guests on that do sort of costumes.
But it's a very good question for our listeners. Suggestions for Laura. Or is Wonder Woman appropriate and fine enough?
I actually was going to do it because I'm a cabin crew, so I was actually going to do it in my uniform, my Virgin Atlantic uniform, but because I was going to go for the Guinness World Record of being like the fastest flight attendant. I think it's 4 hours but the trouble is with that, you had to have a suitcase that weighed 10 kilos, and you weren't allowed to have a wheeled suitcase because of part of the rules of the London Marathon, I guess, because it's a bit of a hazard if you're running along pushing a 4-wheeled bag. So it put me off the fact I thought I've got to carry like a 10-kilo sort of satchel type thing. But I'm never on that one.
Can you wear a backpack? 10-kilo backpack? Actually,
you could do it as a backpack.
Yeah. And hopefully
they'd be weighing it before you started. Excess baggage.
Yeah.
Put it in this wee square thing. Also, hopefully Virgin Atlantic would come up with a running attire, the same uniform, but made of the right material. So
they did give me like a spare uniform that I was allowed to like cut up. So I did actually have like the lining taken out of the jacket and like the sleeves cut off but it wasn't running material.
It'd be warm.
Yeah.
This is went down an unusual route already, and I love it, Laura. But I'm just hearing a wee double take. 179 marathons. Wow, and your first one was in 2003.
Yeah.
So yeah. Will you do the maths, John?
It was a slow start, but it's probably also the last few years I've definitely done a lot more. It's where I've done the majority of them.
And I think, so let's make that wee shift to the last few years, and also that shift, because we're only a few minutes in, but I sense a follow-up episode to this already. But let's talk about the switch to ultra marathons. When did that come on your radar, Laura?
So I think, probably after 2010, you know, when I was watching just loads of YouTube videos about different endurance events, I became obsessed. I was literally loved anything about ultra marathons. I couldn't believe that people could do these things, these races, and you know, I was just like a sponge soaking up all the ultra information. And I remember doing a flight back from Nairobi to Heathrow, and one of the passengers got on and he was wearing an MDS t-shirt. And I said to him, "Have you done the MDS?" And he said, "Yes." And so I asked him to come up to the bar in the flight in upper class, and I literally chatted with him for about 3 hours about the MDS. And he told me about a race he'd done, a 50-mile race called the Thames Trot. And I was just like, in awe. But I didn't realize at the time, you don't run 50 miles like you run a marathon. You know, you just obviously run slower unless you're the elite. You really, anyhow, it was just, that was just amazing. And I think I just sort of learned more and more about ultras, and then I thought I'm just going to have a go. So 2016, I signed up. I bypassed the 50k and the 50-mile option, went straight for 100k, which I did the London to Brighton race. It was in May, and I absolutely loved it. I had no idea what to expect, but just absolutely loved it, and ended up coming like third female, which was just a result. I mean, obviously it was quite a small female field, but that was what started me. And then after I'd run 100k, I thought, what else is out there? And in the August of 2016, I attempted 100 miles at Centurion Running's North Downs Way 100, which is actually a really tough 100-mile race. But I DNF'd it. I got to 75 miles in about 17 and a half hours. So I was actually doing really well, but I had no idea. I was so clueless, really, about the highs and lows of ultra running. I didn't realize that, you know, you would go through these lows. And I think I thought I had to run the whole way. I didn't know about death marching. Not that I wanted to death march the last 25 miles, but I had so much time. So it was a massive learning thing. And my husband, Matthew, who was crewing me, he'd never seen me kind of in this low. I suppose it's the middle of the night. You are at your lowest. He was obviously feeling tired as well. So I thought, oh, I'm going to quit. A few days later, gutted, you know, I knew I could have finished. And so I went back in the April to actually completed my first 100-mile race, which was the Thames Path 100, again by Centurion Running. And then, yeah, when I'd done 100 miles, what else is out there? 145 miles, the Kennet and Avon Canal race. Yeah, and then other races as well.
How were you fueling and stuff? I mean, we're going back to 2016 there, but were you well aware of fueling and nutrition? No? Were you learning lessons all the time?
Honestly, I really look back now and I just think I really was. My like waterproof jacket was from Superdry. It didn't have the tape seams. It didn't have I don't know how many thousands, I don't know, the units that you're supposed to have of your like jacket. I remember, in fact, the Thames Path 100, I didn't have the right soft cup because I didn't drink the hot drinks. Anyhow, basically fueling. We had more real food because I've never liked gels, to be honest with you. I've never, just hate the texture of them. But so I just used to have we had like a massive buffet in the car, but I was actually better at eating then than I am now. I suppose I just used to do it just to finish, and I wasn't trying to push myself. But I just would have we literally had a buffet, sweet and savoury, but there was no formula or anything. It was winging it. So I've definitely learned a lot since then. Still got a lot to learn though.
Stephen, I brought it in there.
You did. I can't remember what I was going to say. I was that interested in what your question was in the end. It'll come back to me. Don't worry.
Shall I carry on?
Yeah, I'm just processing Laura's rise in mileage in comparison to my own, and I'm sure people listening will be doing the same. Laura, to tackle, the distance jump from marathon up to, what's London to Brighton, 50 miles?
It was 100 kilometres, so 62 miles.
Okay, so that's like 2.5 marathons. And then, okay, let's go for the 100, and you went back and sorted that DNF out by the looks of things as well. And then, all right, we'll get more, 145 miles, and that's all in the space of a couple of years. Was it an adeptness to a particular type of terrain, or Joe, where was it you sort of realised that I've got quite a knack for this thing?
I don't know. I mean, I think I guess with ultras, I think is that obviously, you know, you've got hills, and to begin with, I always used to walk up the hills. So I guess that's that natural break of, you know, walking isn't sort of continuous running for and yeah, I mean, I don't know, the canal races, they're obviously flat apart from the, you know, the bridges. But I just slowed myself down. Not that I've ever been like fast, but I definitely like slowed myself down. And you know, with the stops, again, when I first started, the first 100 milers, I'd stop for ages at the aid stations. You know, I really wasted so much time. I think I spent about an hour at 50 miles. I mean, I had I don't know what I was thinking, but now, I know I keep pretty well, I'm repeating myself, but I've learned so much now. Just try to be so efficient at aid stations, or when I see Matthew, he's already got my bottles ready. We just do a really quick changeover. I guess I used to want to just chat and, you know, talk, but now we just know that this is just wasted time that's adding to my time at the end of the no, I don't, but yeah.
And you mentioned Matthew a couple of times, a big part of your success
Yeah,
and a good crew member.
yeah. No, honestly, he's amazing. I'm so lucky to have a husband that literally supports me. He doesn't really bother with marathons these days. All the big ultras, though, he's called my crew chief. But he, you know, literally drives around the middle of the night, finds me in fields, you know, looks after me, and he knows now that never to let me quit unless I'm literally going to die. So no, I'm very, very lucky that he gives up his time for me like that. He is really.
Is he a runner?
He has run the London Marathon. He did it in, we did it together actually, about 2008. But he loves windsurfing. So he doesn't, and he's got some dodgy knees from playing football. He's had a couple of operations. So he's a normal person. He's done a marathon, tick that box, but not really into running.
We like giving a shout out to the supporting cast. So good on you, Matthew.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think what we've said in the past is, well, in this case, everybody needs a Matthew. So thank you. Yeah.
No, they do.
You should, yeah. That list, that CV you mentioned, it's quite a healthy list, and it's also quite a global list as well. It's not just UK races that you've done. Is there one that stands out for you the most, and also why? 2 questions in there.
Oh yeah, good question. Well, I've been lucky enough to do a few races abroad. One that stands out, I mean, Spartathlon. I did that last September, 2023. Incredible. To qualify for the race, it was really, really difficult. And I say I'm not the fastest runner. I'm tough, but I'm definitely not the fastest. So, and Spartathlon's got like 75 timing checkpoints. So I was really worried about the cutoffs. And during the race, they have this thing called the death bus. And basically the death bus sweeps people up that don't make the timing checkpoints. So I was say 30, 40 minutes ahead of the cutoff most of the race. But I kept seeing the death bus, and that was really unsettling me, thinking, I just want to get ahead of this thing. But I mean, the start line, you're under the Acropolis, it's illuminated, it's amazing. And then the finish line, again, you've got all the Greeks out on the street. You run into Sparta for about 1 kilometre, I think it is. And yeah, you've got everyone out on their balconies on the street. You've got all the different countries. They're all in different bars, and everyone's shouting out, bravo, bravo. I mean, it's incredible. Then you obviously kiss the feet of King Leonidas, and being part of the British Spartathlon team as well. The camaraderie that we all had was amazing, and everyone wanted everyone to finish. And when I got down the finish line, they were all, because the good thing about being one of the slower runners is that most of them were finished, and so them and their crews were all in the bar. So as I came along, I said, Matthew was with me filming me, and I was like, where is everyone? And he's like, oh, don't worry, you'll hear them. And then I got to them, and they were all just like going nuts and cheering, and it was just absolutely incredible. Honestly, one of the proudest moments of my life to finish that race.
Right.
What
was maybe it's a silly question, what was the weather like running Spartathlon?
It was hot, but it wasn't that hot.
Okay.
It was probably like, I can't really remember now. It was probably in the early 30s, but at night you cross 100 miles, you go over the mountain, and that was actually quite cold. and then after the mountain, it's called the Plains of Tripoli. It was really foggy, and it was just like this desolate long section. And I remember I was freezing. I didn't actually realise it would probably get as cold. I thought it'd be hot for most of the race, but
what you're explaining there, just describing that, I read the book, The Road to Sparta, Dean Karnazes' book. But I think he's part Greek. I think so.
yes.
He had this affinity to go and do it, but it sounded a really grueling, hellish challenge. But the positives at the end, he was buzzing about it, and I'm hearing that. I'm hearing that from you as well. Brilliant,
Yeah,
Stephen.
I mean, the death bus. I mean, is that what it's really called? Yeah, the death bus.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a nickname, but everyone has always
Okay.
referred to it as the death bus. I don't know if the actual organisers call it that. They probably call it, I don't know.
What a spectre to have in your sort of
Yeah.
rear view mirror, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, here comes like the Grim Reaper.
Exactly, that's what I felt like. I could not relax for the whole race. I literally sat down at 50 miles for about 5 minutes to change my shoes because I started my Nike Alpha Flies because I thought I need all the help I can get to 50 miles. I think you've got to be there in like just under about 9 hours. And then I put my Hoka Bondis, the comfy shoes. But that was the only time I sat down because I just couldn't stop because of this cut-offs. It was just, you didn't have time just to sit down and relax. And
Yeah,
yeah,
I bet 9 hours, 50 miles, and the heat. That's I can understand how you'd have been wanting to get there.
yeah, yes,
Any extra boost on your feet, happily accepted.
yeah.
Yeah.
Don't was my quads after that. Oh my God, they were like so sore. They weren't the sort of normal shoes I wear for like ultras, but I really felt it.
Yeah, especially if that's not what you're accustomed to, definitely. Now, you said the temperature was low 30s.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is the perfect segue. Who's thinking that low 30s is all right?
Yeah.
John and I running in low 30s, we're like melting to the pavement, right? If being dead honest. Maybe the next question will kind of feed into why that low 30s feels almost acceptable for Laura. Badwater. We want to mostly speak about Badwater. When did Badwater come into your vision as something that was an aspiration?
So it must have been, I remember 2019, when I'd done a few 100-mile races, and I'd obviously been watching the YouTube videos about Badwater, and I was literally captivated. I just thought this looks an absolutely incredible race. I mean, I never in a million years thought I would ever get selected to be on the start line, but I sort of thought, let's just try and do some of the qualifying races that on the Badwater website, and one of them was the North Downs Way 100, which I did after I DNF'd. I did do it the year after. And one of them is the Grand Union Canal race. Now, again, that race, I did it in 2019, but I didn't finish. So I got to 108 miles and I gave up because the jump between 100 miles and 145 miles is a long way. And it was another example where I mentally gave up. But that was, anyway, I won't go on about that. But I shouldn't have given up, but I did. However, canal races, they've got the Kent and Avon Canal race, which is 145 miles. So I emailed the race director, Chris Cosman, and said, oh, would the Kent and Avon is 145 miles, would that count as like kind of a preferred race for Badwater entry? And he said, yes. So I did that, and I actually got first female. I got an amazing trophy, which was such a shock. And then I applied in 2020 for Badwater and I got selected. And I remember, so Chris does a Facebook Live when he announces the race field. And me and my husband had just been to the gym. We got home and I put it on and my name got called out. And Matthew first went to me, you're not doing that. And I was like, yes, I am. And then then it was the annoying thing, COVID happened. So the race got cancelled in 2020, 2021. We all got given another opportunity to do it, but it was only American runners that year because there was no international travel. So I had to wait to 2022 to actually do it. But I couldn't believe I'd got selected. And I just, I thought, wow, this is what an opportunity to do, to have a go at Badwater.
So just for our listeners' benefit, because we've spoken about Badwater before, we had Debbie Martin Consani on speaking about it. Badwater Debbie is what we know her as. So But just remind listeners what Badwater is.
So Badwater 135 is held in July, so it's the hottest time of the year in Death Valley, the hottest place on earth. It's a 135-mile ultra marathon. Starts at Badwater Basin, which is the lowest point in the contiguous United States. It's like 282 foot below sea level, and it crosses 3 mountain ranges, finishes halfway up Mount Whitney at Whitney Portal, and yeah, it's they say let's call it the world's toughest, and it's when I did it, well, I've done it 3 times now, but the temperatures don't go below 40 degrees. The hottest part of the course is in the early 50s. It's it's tough.
Thank you. And terrain-wise, mostly on tarmac? Or?
Yep, tarmac. So you're literally running on the highway. I mean, it's brilliant for navigation. You don't get lost. You literally go up one road, turn left, and it's 100 miles up to Lone Pine. But it is all tarmac. They kind of like you run on the white line because it is slightly cooler than running on the tarmac. But you have to have a support crew between 2 and 4 people to kind of, because there's no aid stations. There's only timing checkpoints. So your support crew will literally leapfrog you up the course, to keep you alive.
Yeah,
so
mobile aid station.
We should now refer to Laura as Badwater Laura. It's only appropriate, I think. Was Matthew chief support? Was
yes.
it all? But who else was part of your team?
So I've done it 3 times. So 2022, Matthew was my crew chief. I had my friend Scott from the UK, who's an ultra marathon runner, and 2 American friends who are a couple, Darren and Jules. Then last 2023, my friend Brian, and he had 2 crew. Brian Hamilton, he's an animal. He's literally any race on the planet. He's done it, and he's done Badwater as well. And then last year I had 2 friends in the UK, James, who runs Spartathlon several times, James Ellis, and my friend Julia, who has run over 200 marathons as well. So I've had different crews, and Matthew's been obviously crew chief every time.
These people sound like they've got what it takes to understand what might happen. But can I ask you, are there any diva moments from Badwater Laura? How are you to crew for, in your opinion?
I'm really easy. I think so Matthew always says, I always go up to them. I'm like, are you guys okay? Have you eaten? Are you, I'm always more concerned about there, because when you've got like 3 or 4 people in a support car crammed together for like 30 plus hours, I'm worried they're getting on and that kind of thing. So I do think I am really easy to crew for. But crewing at Badwater, James actually said last year, is like crewing on steroids. I don't think they expect to have to stop every 2 miles, because normally at normal races, or not normal races, but ultras, either you can't have crew at certain points, or you don't need to see people every 2 miles. But there, you definitely do. So it's no relaxing for them. But I think the first year I was really worried about them all getting on, because people hadn't really met before. But I remember I was running along, and normally they'll get out the car, they'll be ready for me. They'll have they run across the road. They've got the caddy with my fresh water. They've got a hose lock water spray, like you spray plants with, spray me down with cold water. But no one was getting out of the car. And I was like, well, what's going on? And they were all having such a laugh in the car that they'd sort of forgotten about me. So I was actually really pleased. They were getting on so well. It was, and it's amazing when people give out their time for you to live your ultra running dreams. It really is quite humbling that people will do that for you.
The draw, that could be a one and done for people. Badwater, it's one of these iconic races on the race calendar. What was the draw to go back?
Oh, do you know what? It's so difficult to describe. It's such an amazing experience. I think the first year I was there, I literally had imposter syndrome. I was kind of like a race thing, like looking around thinking, oh my God, why am I how have I managed to get myself here? How has this happened? But I just love the whole Badwater family. It really is. It is a family. I know it sounds a bit like cheesy to say that, but when you go there and you see a lot of the same people, or people that come back year after year to crew or to be on the staff, and Death Valley is such an incredible place. It's beautiful, it's desolate, and the feeling of achievement when I did finished the first year, I was like, I want to do this again. Literally about a minute after I finished, I just thought that even though it was so tough, but what made it so tough was what made it so great as well. And I thought I'd like to try and get a slightly better time, and I just want some more of this. I don't know. I know it's type 2 fun, putting yourself through that, but it's just, I don't know, it's just got into my blood in some ways.
Too many questions in my head at the same time. But you live in Bogder Regis.
Yes.
How do you train for Death Valley in Bogder Regis?
Good question. It's so what I've 4 weeks before it's really about the heat training, to be honest. This year, sorry, and 2022, I ran the Keys 100, which is a 100-mile race along the whole length of the Florida Keys, which is a really good hot training run, long as well, obviously 100 miles. But living here, what I would do, so a month before, I'd go out running, wearing all my winter clothes. I'd have like hat on, gloves, 3 tops, a coat, leggings, looking like a total idiot in June, so I'd go sort of run like that. That was quite horrible. I would at home got a Peloton tread, and I'd got 2 Stanley electric heaters. So as Debbie, I remember Debbie's podcast, she did the similar. She had plastic sheeting over hers. I wasn't quite as high tech. I literally just put the heaters against the treadmill, and I'd either hike on it, incline, or I'd run. Again, that was just horrible. I've got a sauna. We bought a sauna in 2020, just an infrared sauna. It's quite small, just a bit bigger than a phone box. Every day for a month, I'll be in that sauna building up. I mean, I'm surprised I actually had any liquid left in my body, the amount I was sweating over the month before I was going to Badwater. And then also I'd go to the heat chamber. Chichester University is about 20 minutes from where I live, and they've got a acclimatization facility. And any hot race I've actually done, I've always had about 8 sessions in there. So you go in the heat chamber, they'll put the temperature up to whatever you want, and the humidity. The team are absolutely amazing in there. They're so knowledgeable. The only bad thing is the rectal thermometer, which has to measure your core temperature. So you have that, run on the treadmill for an hour, and every day you should see adaptations of, sweating quicker. I mean, I'm not even sure of all the exact science behind it, but I know it works. So with that, yeah, my core temperature was getting lower, sweat sooner. And I found myself being cold, even though it was hot outside, because it's out, say, the UK summer. I was actually feeling cold, which when I wasn't in the heat chamber, which was showing it was working. So those things combined, and with my job, flying to hot places, I'd go running the hottest time of the day as well. I mean, I just tried to do everything I could to throw myself into the heat, give myself the best chance of finishing.
But what size is that heat chamber? You said it's got a treadmill in it, but what size is the actual room? It's
not that big. It's probably like 4 times the size of the treadmill.
Okay.
They have, so the guys, there'll be like, always a couple of guys from the university who'd come in to monitor me, and every 5 minutes they're checking my core, etc. And then the humidity goes up a little bit because there's more people in the room, but it's not a big room.
Roughly the size of that space behind you, between you and the door. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
The side where all your medals are hanging.
Oh yeah. Have they taken out the room?
I think that's only some of the medals. There must be another room somewhere.
Oh, they go all around the edge, but I do like to run for a bit of bling. Sucker for a medal.
Join the club.
Yeah.
That I love the fact that you're just trusting the process there. It's like, rather than getting too into the whole science and understanding it yourself, because it can be overwhelming. It's just like, tell me what I need to do, and I'll expose myself to doing it. And it sounds like you do that with gusto.
No. I did, in fact, I think after the first year, Chris Costman, the race director, actually put a science journalist who contacted him about heat acclimatization, heat adaptation in athletes, put her in touch with me, because he knew that I had literally totally embraced it. But I thought, I cannot go there without knowing I've done all I can to give myself the best chance. So yeah.
Fantastic. Now,
sorry. It's just the heat thing. Have you done that for the 3 years that you've went, or is that something you've learned? But you've done that since the last 3 years.
Yes.
Okay.
And I did it
Stephen,
for the Florida Keys 100 as well. But I did Spartathlon. I went to the heat chamber as well, even though it wasn't quite as hot, but it was still, hot for us Brits.
Yeah, season ticket for the heat chamber.
I know, exactly. There's a special deal now.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I want to go back to something that you actually touched on a couple of times about other races, and it was something that you said about mentally giving up. It was another one time that I mentally gave up. So it's obviously, something that's been in your conscience. At Badwater 135, with the attrition that you're dealing with and the monotony of the terrain, I'm just imagining it. If there was a race that you would mentally give up in, potentially that would be quite a high ranking one. What have you done or did you do to combat that or anything?
I think with Badwater, I told the whole world on social media that I was doing it, so I couldn't quit. But also, you've got your support crew, and they've given up their time. To be honest, during Badwater, I didn't ever want to ever give up, because Chris Costman says in the pre-race briefing, he's like, all you got to do is get to the finish line. Not all you got to do, but I think some, especially some of the faster runners, if their race doesn't quite go to plan, they will maybe not finish because they're not getting the time they want to get. Whereas he's like, whatever you do, just get to the finish line. I've got because there's only 100 people get invited every year. He's like, I've got 100 buckles to give. I want to give out 100 buckles, and that's all I could think about. And also, I break the race down. There's on the website, there's a guy called Zwitty, and he's done the race before, and he's literally done his guide to running Badwater, of cutting it down into doggy-sized chunks. So I laminated his guide, and so each section I would kind of read it, and it would say, like, one section, there's this hill, don't bother to try and run it, you're better to power hike it, for example. But the whole race, I just only would look at, say, get to mile 17, which is Furnace Creek, then get to the next. I just broke it down into small sections, and I think I have learned a lot from when my DNF at the Grand Union Canal Race 2019 with the men. I've definitely worked on that mental thing, because if I don't finish a race, it means I've just got to go back and do it again. So, I just rather get it done the first time. But I have definitely improved my mental strength.
Sounds like it.
Death Valley, Furnace Creek. It just sounds hot, doesn't it? It just sounds so hot. I've just become aware, I knew, but I've just realised that you did Spartathlon and Badwater in the same year, within a few months of each other as well, which is quite fun. We'll speak about recovery in a wee while. But out of your Badwater experiences, the 3 you've had so far, Laura, what's your most memorable moment?
Good question. I mean, this year, I had an amazing moment when you run through Panamint Valley, which is after you get out of Death Valley, you climb Towns Pass. So this is about up to mile 58, and then you go down into the Panamint Valley, which is say 6 miles on the flat, where it's the hottest part of the course, till you get to Panamint Springs. And the US Air Force practice around there. So me and James, my pacer, we were running along the valley. Suddenly, the most deafening sound went overhead us, and it was 2 US Air Force F-15 aeroplanes going about 500 miles an hour at 100 feet above our heads. It was honestly, it was just unbelievable. I nearly jumped out of my skin. But then they turned round, and a few minutes later came back in the opposite direction, and I literally stood in the middle of the road, had my arms in the air like that, and they wing waggled, and that was just so cool. It was really amazing. It's just one of those moments of adrenaline, when you're pumped. That was amazing. So that was
the Lakeland 100 event this summer in July up in the lakes was all themed on Top Gun this year. That was their sort of theme of the whole weekend.
Oh, cool.
That would have just been what the race director would have wanted if he could have booked something like that, a flyby by the by Tom Cruise and
there's actually a scene.
You can imagine it's Tom Cruise.
But there's actually a scene in Maverick, isn't there, when that happens and it just goes woof.
Oh yeah,
and it lifts the roof of a house just about. But you got to experience that twice. Fantastic.
No, so I mean, but before that, was another memorable experience. Well, not such a good one. Was the bees, we got to the top of Times Pass, as I said, mile 58, and there were all like swarms of bees everywhere. There were just loads of them. And what had happened, apparently, I don't know how long before the race, but a big truck carrying loads of beehives, and each beehive had about 50,000 bees in them, had had an accident, and it toppled over. All the bees had escaped. So there was nowhere there's no vegetation for the bees to kind of go to. So they were just, honestly, they were everywhere. So the crew couldn't get out of the car. They couldn't, because if they tried to open the door, the bees would swarm in. And, and obviously us runners, we're like sweaty and sticky and perfect fodder for a bee. So people were getting stung, but they were there for about 8 miles. I was running along, just sort of swatting these bloody bees out my face. So that was interesting, challenging, but memorable.
That sounds like something out of one of these Roadrunner cartoons where the lorry tips over and all the stuff comes out.
Exactly.
Yeah, wow. I've never heard about that before.
Yeah, well, we didn't actually know at the time. We didn't know. We were like, why are there all these bees here? What's going on? And then it was only after the race that we found out. That was fun.
Brilliant, thank you. I love finding out new things, and this is all new. So thank you very much for that.
Wow.
I'm going to go for learnings from the first time at Badwater to this year's Badwater. Have you changed? I know you probably you'll do the heat training, but have you changed your on the ground strategies as you've developed through these 3 years, Laura? What's changed for you?
Yeah, I think it's just being more efficient with the stopping. Just trying to get a better time. I know it's not about the time, but it's always kind of nicer if your time does get quicker. I know you could never legislate for whatever events happen, but the first year I just wanted to finish alive. That was literally my only mission within the time limit, sorry. But yeah, I sort of identified some areas where we could have been quicker, like Panamint Springs at mile 72. It's really important that the crew get real food because they've been on the go since it starts at night. So you've literally run through the whole night, then the next day. So they haven't, they've just literally eaten snacks, so it is important that they get real food. The first year we stopped at Panamint for it was at the time I need to get out of the heat. It was fine, but with hindsight, I realised that we did not need to be stopping there. I did not need to be stopping there that long. So each year we've got quicker there, and I still know that I don't even probably need to stop there. They just need to go ahead, get their food. They can eat it in the car, but that's one. Yeah, I'm just trying to think what else, and just maybe keeping, trying to run up. So the first big climb is 17 miles long. It's from Stovepipe Wells, mile 42. And the first year I just I hiked the whole way up there. And this year I ran quite a lot of it actually. And sort of, I'd run the sort of runnable bits. And then when it doesn't feel like it's hill, but then you look behind you and actually you have really climbed. So just trying to make more ground, and after say 100 miles, that section, then again trying to, when you are really tired on the second night, just trying to run a bit more than I was say walking the first time. So just trying to be more efficient, I think.
Thank you.
And you spoke about having Hawker, was it Hawker Cliftons? Is that your
Bondi? The
Bondi, sorry. Yeah, is that what you're wearing? We do like to know what you've got on your feet when you're doing these epic challenges.
I haven't got the nicest feet anymore, and so my husband says they look like feet like a dinosaur. But the Hoka Bondis, I wear the wide style, and they are for those sort of races. They are so cushioned and so comfortable, like really. So they are perfect for. There's no speed in them, but for the long races, I had like about 4 pairs with me, but I had 2 in my size, and then I had 2 that are actually half a size bigger, because with your feet swelling and stuff. In fact, actually at Badwater this year, I did start in the Alpha Flies again, but they made me take them off after 20 miles because they were worried about my quads. I do wish now I'd kept them on a bit longer, but anyway.
So that was, they were insisting on, wearing those.
No, the crew, Matthew was like, oh, remember what happened at Spartathlon with your with your quads and stuff. But I think
the best interest at heart.
Yeah. I just sort of, I think it was all in my pursuit of trying to be a bit quicker. Although this year I wasn't. I was quickest last year. This year I was a bit slower but second fastest time of the
And
three.
is the weather just pretty consistently hot?
Yeah. Yeah. Although this year, another really weird thing was on the drive down to the start, there was a thunderstorm. And the temperature, I know the American cars, it's all in Fahrenheit. So we left Furnace Creek and where we were staying, 17 miles from the start. Temperature in the car was say 110. It was about 8 o'clock at night. And as we were driving, this thunderstorm came through, really strong winds, and almost like a sandstorm. And the temperature in the car went down to 70 degrees and it was raining. I was like, oh my God, I don't have a waterproof with me. It's raining. I've only trained for that extreme heat. But then after this storm went through, the temperature shot back up, but then it was mega humid and loads of people suffered because of the humidity, because obviously normally it's really dry heat out in Death Valley, but this was some kind of freak weather.
Mm.
Yeah, it doesn't, I wouldn't say it goes colder than 40 degrees, even at night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we see lots of people wearing sort of white apparel. Is that something that you joined in with? Did you do that? Is that a benefit as well? Yeah?
I didn't go with the white leggings like Debbie. I didn't.
Okay.
I couldn't rock them like she did. But I did. All my class. Did I start in neon? I can't remember. I do love neon, but I can't actually remember. No, I think this year I literally wore white. I had like white sort of compression sleeves on my calves, white shorts. I wore a white vest at night, and then in the morning when it started to get hot, I put on an SPF 50 white long sleeve Patagonia top. I had a white cap. I used to put ice in my cap, and also bought I was totally robbed in the Furnace Creek gift shop. I wanted one of those hats, like I don't know what they're called, with the rim. I don't know. I know it's not a fashion show, but I don't feel like baseball caps suit me, so I really wanted one of those bucket hats. That's it. So I bought this bucket hat, way overpriced. So I was wearing that as well, and yeah, but mainly white. Not everyone does wear white, which does surprise me. But
And go and just explain that for people listening in. Why white? I think I understand it because I've looked at Badwater a lot. But why wear white clothes?
I think it's just because it sort of reflects, doesn't reflects the heat off you, and it's just it's just obviously if you're wearing black, you feel like it's going to absorb the heat and make it hotter. You want to be as cool, as cool as you can be. But yeah, white is definitely the best colour to wear.
And was the bucket hat a good choice?
It was a good choice. I've since got a new precision hydration bucket hat, which is very cool, which I do prefer. But yeah, it was good. Although it did keep blowing. I had to do the thing under my, tie it up under my chin because it kept blowing, because there was quite a strong hot breeze. So you keep trying to blow off. But it was good because it kept the sun off.
Now, Laura, you spoke about no particularly liking gels earlier on.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that is still the case? Do you use gels? I'm getting on to the question about what you were using for nutrition and hydration, obviously, for your Badwater efforts.
So yeah, I don't like the thick texture of a gel. I do have Goo Liquid Energy gels, which are more like a liquid. They are really quite thin. And so I was trying to have sort of one of them, say, every hour until I couldn't tolerate them anymore. What else do I have? I mean, I love watermelon, but trouble is watermelon hasn't got many calories in. But I think all ultra runners love a bit of watermelon. And Badwater, it's annoying because there's say only 4 little towns which are just basically a gas station throughout the race, and they don't do ice lollies. They only do ice cream, and I was really wanting an ice lolly. So anyway, I couldn't have that. I'm quite partial to a bit of Jamaica ginger cake, McVitie's. Oh, I took 2 of them with us. But trouble is, since 2022 at long races, I just get really sick now. So I'm trying to work out what it is. It's sort of what really is work in progress. My nutrition is not good. I do pH, what's it called, precision hydration. I'm having their electrolytes, the pH 1000s. But yeah, a Badwater, not exaggerating, I was sick about 30 times. After mile 70, I could not hold down any food or water. And it was bad. I mean, I was running. It was just really annoying, and it's so frustrating when you know you need to fuel your tank, but you just can't get anything in. And if I did try and eat something, I just literally was sick again. I was sort of having ginger ale to try and like settle my tummy as well, but it just wasn't staying down. Then I was worrying about getting too dehydrated because obviously the conditions. So yeah.
So that sickness, you're speaking. My question was going to be, sometimes after a good spew, you feel renewed and you feel reinvigorated, but to be doing it that often, you're not going to be getting that feeling. So how did you get fueling? How were you able to continue?
It was the sheer mental strength just kept. I mean, I was all right. I know when you're, I don't want to just sort of put everyone off, but when you're sick from that sort of, it's not like when you're ill with like norovirus, it's just more or less liquid without being too graphic. But I just had to keep powering forward. But that's why I think I was slightly slower this year than last year, was because that second half of the race, when I would have wanted to be running more, I was sort of doing a small run, then walking, then being sick, can repeat. And when I had to do the last 13 miles, I was on the phone to my mum and dad at the base of the Mount Whitney, like crying, saying it's been so hard. But even in Lone Pine, about mile 122, there's a McDonald's. So my crew went to get a McDonald's, and they said to me, just try a hash brown. And I literally could not swallow anything, because they were like, if you just get a tiny bit inside you, I knew it would do me so much good, but I just couldn't. So that was real mind over matter. But it's amazing what your body can do, just keep moving forward.
Well, that's your body and your mind, right? That's amazing what your body and your mind can do. That is really, there's a lot of resilience there, and learning from previous things and pushing yourself. We're calling this season the danger zone. I feel this episode fits perfectly.
Yeah.
But so, just to be clear then, that last 13 miles, were you running on fumes?
Yeah. I basically
Wow.
It was funny because my husband he put the car windows down and started playing some AC/DC music, and that pumped me up, and I just had James, my crew member, bless him, he did like 70 miles pacing me, although the pacer at Badwater has to be behind you, so it's not really pacing you, but he was with me, spraying me with water. And I mean, he was incredible. And so he was feeling it as well. He'd done 70 miles at Badwater. It was quite a stint. So we just kept powering up, heads down, just eyes on the prize, just thinking, just let this be over soon.
And
sorry, Stephen, you go. Sorry.
no, you go, John.
Well, I'm obsessed with food, Laura. That's my thing. When did you eat? When you finish, when did your appetite return?
Oh, well, so after I finished, we went they went back to McDonald's. I think it was lunchtime, so they had to go and get in. So we went to McDonald's. I tried to eat a few chips and I just couldn't. Had a couple of hours sleep, and then they have the pizza party for everyone that night after the race. So I did have some pizza, and then the next day I was kind of back to normal again, but it did take a while, because I mean, I love food. That's why I run, because I love eating.
Yeah. Let's speak about that. I don't want to gloss over this because it's really, really important. You set out to do something like Badwater 135. It's a dream. Let's go back to the first one, 2022. It's all new. You're on the ground. You said yourself you're feeling a bit of imposter syndrome. But you then cross that finish line. How does that feel?
Oh my God. It is euphoric. Just amazing. The best feeling, crossing the finish line with your crew behind you. I was holding the Union Jack, and I was like, I'm a Badwater finisher. Like, this is just amazing. Like, looking back to the girl who used to watch the videos about Badwater or about ultra running, and I'm like, this is me. This is absolutely the best feeling. So proud. And yeah, just really amazing.
And what's it like going back to work, telling your pals back
Yeah,
at work.
it's funny. People at work, they are so supportive, but they sort of know me as like, running Laura. It's funny, but I think it's, they always say, "Well, how long did it take you? How many days?" Oh, no, you just have like the time limit, 46, 48 hours to do it. And people, Death Valley, July, you can see their brains processing. But work have been are so supportive of me and like my running, and they've always sort of championing me on like social media. It's really so lovely, so nice. So yeah, I don't feel like I deserve the it's really humbling, but I get embarrassed because I do, as I said earlier, I am literally just a normal girl trying to do these crazy things. But yeah, it's lovely. It's lovely.
Oh, Laura, take it, embrace it.
Yeah.
Honestly, you're doing, you said at the start, you're an ordinary girl doing extraordinary things, and you are, but you're so inspiring, I'm sure, to potentially millions of other women and athletes. And because we all did, I mentioned earlier about, I read the book by Dean Karnazes. He's a celebrity, if you like, runner.
Mhm.
And we all hear about all the elites and the big names, but people like yourself, I would regard you as an elite going out and doing that 3 times. That's quite phenomenal. But it's also that Steve and I speak about this podcast being relatable. And I think that's what you're bringing to this. Other people would be going, let's do it. Stephen.
On that exact thought, it was my next question. People listening who are thinking, I wouldn't mind a bit of the Badwater action. You spoke about qualifying races. What would they do if they're inspired and saying, right, I'm going to set my sights on following Laura's footsteps? What did it do?
Well, firstly, both of you, that's so kind of you to say those lovely things. And I do love to try, and even if I'm as inspired as one person, I feel that's just makes me so happy. But the Badwater website has got all the kind of info on it. I think now because they have 100 runners they invite every year. 2/3 are rookies, so it's their very first time, and a third, so about 30, 33, are veterans like me. So I think for the rookies, you have to have done 400-mile or 100-mile plus races in X number of years. They don't. Chris doesn't want like people that have just started running ultras in the last year. He wants to have 100 people that he knows will get to the finish line or have the best chance of getting to the finish line. So you've got to have had it spread out over a few years. And yeah, there's certain races that they're considered like the harder 100-milers, like, I suppose UTMBs, but anything between 100 to 150 miles. So yeah, Spartathlon, quite a few races in America. There's one called the Hurt 100 in Hawaii. I think Lakeland 100 or Hardmoors, is that a UK race? They're on there, and the North Downs Way 100. So obviously they are preferred. So if you've got a few of them on, your running CV, and yeah, applications open in beginning of January, I think, open for about 2 weeks, and you fill in, quite an extensive application, not just about running, but stuff about, what is the meaning of life? What does Badwater mean for you? What have you given back to the ultra running world or the running community? Different. So it makes you think, which is good.
Okay. So if that's you, keep your eye open in January. You've maybe already got everything that you need in your running CV.
No,
I love that there'll be people listening to this and they'll be going, right, just now they'll be going, that's amazing, but that's not for me. Maybe not just now, but seeds get planted, and as Laura's described, you watch the YouTube videos and then you listen to things like this and you go, maybe I could. Maybe
honestly,
I love that.
if I can do it, anyone.
Yes.
Yeah, really.
That's it. That's what we want to hear.
It will change your life if you apply for Badwater. Honestly, if you don't get in the first year, I'll go on a crew and let's see what the race is all about. Or, but to say never give up. I would recommend it. It is I know I've done it 3 times. I'm greedy, but it is a once in a lifetime amazing race.
I can see the John face, by the way.
Oh,
I
the
can
glint.
I can see the wee glint in his eye, thinking,
Yeah.
Yeah, most
Help yourself.
definitely.
Maybe that's me.
Maybe. As
Thanks, Laura.
if you, now, oh sorry, again, too many questions. I'm not aware of many people. You're the first person I know that has completed Badwater consecutively in 3 years. Is that a rare thing, or is that a what?
Oh, well, I'm the first British woman to have ever done it three times.
Fantastic.
I think there's like maybe 12 British women who've ever done it. Finished Badwater. Mimi Anderson, who is just like amazing. She's done it twice. But I'd say there are a few people who've done it. Quite a few Americans. Well, I'll say quite a few. Maybe there's, I don't know, 15, 20 people who've done it. There's one guy, Danny Westergaard, who is a friend. He has done it 16 consecutive years. These are called streakers. So another friend of mine, Joshua Holmes, he's done it 10 years in a row. There's a few girls, not so many of the girls that have done it quite a few times. I think Carla Kent, she's from Vegas. She has done it. I'm sure she's done it over 10 times, but I'm sure she's the lady that's done it the most. So yeah, there are some people that keep going back for more punishment.
So, but you're the first UK woman to do it 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
Congratulations, that's brilliant.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Is Laura Watts going back?
Well, at Badwater, when you get given your first year's running number, you keep that number, and my number's 4. So I feel like, it could be. I'm definitely going to apply it because I don't know if I'll get in again because I say there's so much competition for the 30 spaces, but for veterans. But I've done my best this year, and I've got one more 100-mile race coming up in December. So done my best to get my running CV as good as it can be, but I would never expect to get in. But I will enter. Just throw my hat into the ring and see what happens.
We'll get to December in a second. So, Steve, can I? This is the perfect time I have to ask this question. We sometimes ask a previous guest to ask a question of this guest, and it's appropriate that I ask Badwater Laura a question from Badwater Debbie, right? So I contacted Debbie, said, if you could ask Laura one question, what would it be? And I quote, how does she recover so quickly? I think she did another ultra about 2 weeks after her third Badwater. I've got the dates. Badwater was 23rd of July, and the White Horse 100 that you won was the 7th of September. How do you recover so quickly and be able to go and do another 100-miler and then win it?
Well, funny enough, what Debbie actually missed out was I actually did 10 days after finishing Badwater. I ran a 48-mile ultra in Jersey called Round the Rock. This wasn't really a great plan, to be honest. What happened was I've got some friends that live in Jersey and they're always saying, oh, come and run Round the Rock. So I thought, oh, it's in August. I thought Badwater's July, Round the Rock's in August. But then I didn't realise that Badwater was literally the end of July. Round the Rock was like the 3rd of August. So that was 10 days after Badwater. And Round the Rock, there was a lot of climbing, a lot of steps. So but that wasn't really ideal, although I was actually fine. So I don't know. I do normally listen to my body. I will always have a good few days of running. Sometimes just I like to go on like my bike. I'll go on my Peloton bike and do like a low impact run. I do like keeping moving. But as I say, if I'm not ready to like run, obviously I won't. The White Horse 100, yeah, that was September, and I felt I was okay. I don't know. I've been trying to have more regular sports massages. I've never really treated myself to anything like that before. So I was having I'm either having one a week or one every 2 weeks, which I think has really helped. And yeah, I don't know.
That's okay. I was going to clarify something. It was me that mentioned the White Horse 100. I can hear Debbie shouting in my ear. I wasn't talking about that one. So she was talking about the one in Jersey, just to be clear.
Yes.
Just to be clear. Yes, that was 10 days. That's phenomenal.
Yeah. No, it wasn't, I can't actually remember the time. I did it. Yeah, I did okay. I can't remember the time I did it. But it was a great race and I recommend it to I'd never been to Jersey before. So what better way than to see a place to run around it?
Definitely. That intrigues me, that one, Round the Rock.
Yeah. It was good. No, really good. And it's sort of, I mean, the north coast of Jersey was so rugged, really quite technical. I wasn't expecting like really slippery rock. Like, I'm not so good at that kind of running, but like beautiful place, really. Although it rained, such different weather from Badwater. It literally rained the whole time.
But what you've got to throw in there as well, Laura, is the transatlantic flights and stuff like that. Now I know you're quite used to long hauling with your day job, but it does have an effect on the body, no doubt, and that's on top of the I don't know whatever 38 hours or in a little change that you were out doing a 135-mile race. So
Yeah.
for Debbie to be impressed by your recovery prowess, well, that says it all to John and I. So don't downplay it.
No, Debbie is like one of my running idols. She's amazing.
You're not alone. You're not alone there. You're not alone there, Laura. Can I ask though, do you do a lot of the sort of like strength and conditioning stuff? Are you doing like sort of stretching, yoga, Pilates? Are you an advocate of that?
I wish I was, and I'm ashamed to say that I'm not. I'm such terrible. I don't know why. I don't have an excuse. I really don't have an excuse because sometimes I think I spend time faffing around on social media when I could do like half an hour of stretching, or that's something I need to work on. Yeah, I definitely. But I'm yeah.
You're bamboozling me. You must just be blessed with
Angel.
Just recovery, and it must just be part of you and what you can do that you can do that. Because I know certainly a lot of the things that I've had access to and information as they talk about, certainly in the West Highland Way, they talk about having like 30 days or 2 months off heavy running after doing something like the West Highland Way race, which is 96 miles. But that's in the Scottish summer. It's not touching anything like the sort of heat you're getting in Badwater in July. So maybe you're just blessed with wonderful genes that you can recover and go again.
I don't know. Is the West Highland Way? I guess that's a lot of elevation.
John's done it. I've not. So, but depends what your benchmark elevation is. It's to me, it's not huge. Elevation.
It's not huge. I'm not sure what it compares with. Like it's a bad one. I'm not quite sure, but
that's a completely different terrain and stuff like that, and it's more ups and undulating and such like. But
I had asked Laura before. I had asked Laura before we pressed record if she's ever done a run in Scotland, and the answer was not yet.
No.
So
Matthew and I so want to. Well, we want to go to Scotland. Like, he's got a pickup truck and take like it's like the mobile support vehicle. But we want to go and explore Scotland and like. Bet there's so many incredible places to run. And I've seen that race across Scotland, and there's I mean so many. I just need to win the lottery, and so we'll have time to just go running and
One for your husband Matthew to Google is the Tiree Ultra Marathon, which is a lap of the Isle of Tiree, which is stunning, but also I believe quite surf friendly.
Oh wow, yeah. Oh, yeah. I think he's got a friend, one of his pilot friends, lives in Tiree, or has got a house there.
Right.
Where the trees blow sideways, and
if there are any, there's not many trees on it. There are trees, but not many. And there's loads of basking sharks in the summer. It's a stunning place, absolutely stunning place. Yeah, so
a place that literally looks like the Caribbean. I've seen in Scotland. It's got white sand beaches and
Luscantire up in the.
It's just all like that. It's just all like that in Scotland.
Wow.
It's gorgeous.
Stunning.
Come and see us. Come and see us. Come up.
No, I'll take you off on that.
Yeah. What running kit? You mentioned about your bucket hat. Bucket hats are the thing.
Yeah.
I think. But what's your favourite bit of running kit? Like, I'm not just talking about going over to Badwater and being in that hot environment. What is the constant in Laura Watt's running uniform?
Well, oh God. Again, good question. I mean, one thing I don't leave home without now is my I don't know if this is going to qualify for a proper answer, but is my is called Desitin. It's nappy rash cream from America. Um, it's basically.
Ends at the ready, Laura.
Oh my, yeah, it's a game changer. It's I remember doing a race, and again, sorry listeners and viewers. I remember going to the toilet and my bottom wasn't particularly so sore and like red, and then one of my crew was like, "Oh, have you tried this?" And I put some on, and I'm like, just literally game changing. So that is, I will always apply some before a race, and you can also put it on your feet because it sort of stops trench foot, because it provides like a waterproof barrier. So you put it on before you put your socks on, and then they, when they are sweating, or if you're getting them wet from, if you're tipping water over your head, for example, and it goes in your socks, it does help to sort of prevent blisters.
Can you spell that, please? Can you?
Oh yeah, Desitin. It's from the States, but I think it's probably the same as like Sudocrem and.
Yeah, that's brilliant. We had
strength.
We had Robin Cassidy, who won the Lakeland 100 in the summer. Robin shared a German foot cream that she uses, and you're sharing like a nappy cream. This is fantastic. We're going global.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love
Important.
it. I love it. Thank you very much, and it's a great addition to the piece of kit. Does it come in small tubs, or do you decant a bit?
Tube. I should have bought some from down, had it here to show you, but it's just in a tube, and you just sort of squeeze it. So it's quite easy to apply, just like squeeze it out. It's just bright white. So of course, when you've put it on, your fingers are like, and it's waterproof. It's quite hard to like, you can't just rub your hands down your shorts and expect it to come off. You kind of need some water.
It's a great bit of kit. Thank you very much. And it's a new one that
good.
we've never heard about. Yeah.
I like that.
Right. Now, you opened the door on what's happening in December briefly, and then John slammed it shut until this moment. Yeah.
Yes.
Next up for you.
So December the 11th, it's actually a new race by Centurion Running. It's called the Winter Downs 100. Last year they did their first Winter Downs 200-mile race, but this year they're just sort of adding on a 100-mile version. So I just wanted to kind of have 400-mile races on my CV for this year. Plus, Centurion is really close in the south. It starts on the South Downs Way, does a bit of St Swithin's Way, and then North Downs Way. So it is local. The start line is literally 30 minutes from where I live. Although, I mean, winter ultras, muddy, cold. But I'm looking forward to that. And then next year, I'm doing the Keys 100 again, just because I love that race. It's and if I'm lucky enough to get into Badwater, it is, as I said earlier, a brilliant 100-mile training run. Bob Becker, the guy, the race director, is an inspirational guy. He's absolutely amazing. He's run Badwater as well, and you do get a lot of the same faces that say are doing Badwater, and so a lot of friends will be running that. I always do. I don't know if you heard of a race called Country to Capital, which is in January. It starts in Wendover in Buckinghamshire, I think it is, and you run into Paddington in London. But that's beginning of January. And that's the perfect after Christmas, New Year kind of race, 40-something miles. I've done that quite a few times and quite like just to sort of blow cobwebs off.
Okay, so yeah, it doesn't sound like your work is done, Laura.
No.
In the immediate future, nor indeed in 2025 and beyond.
Hopefully, as long as my body keeps going.
I have a question. I think I maybe should have asked it a while ago, but I can ask it now. Do you have a coach?
No.
So how do you structure your training?
I mean, I do feel like I wing it a little bit. I just do try, and each week I'll try and do some sort of speed work. I mean, depending on the race I've got, before Badwater, for example, I'll do like a lot of hiking and hill running. Try and do marathons I do as training runs now. So, because for me, I think rather than me going out and doing a 25-mile run, I'd rather just go and find an event, a marathon. I mean, I don't run the marathon. They've got a lot of trail marathons and a lot of timed events where I just like to do it for the medal. So I think I'd rather do the marathon, get a medal, and then it adds towards my goal of getting to 200 marathons, for example. But I mean, I do sort of wing it and just build up. I don't run a massive amount in a week. I mean, maybe 50-mile weeks building up. This year it was quite good. I did 5 marathons in 5 days by Sussex Trail Events in June, which was perfect as well before Badwater. A bit of build up of endurance, sort of back-to-back marathons like that. But I know I'm a bit ashamed to say, I feel like I spend so much money on like races and trainers, and having a coach is. Do I need, being a middle of the pack runner, do I need a coach? I mean, I'll probably, I would love to have a coach, but I feel, I don't know.
Well, it sounds to me like you're ticking all your boxes without one, and the only thing maybe a coach could bring is, could they squeeze a bit extra time out of you for you? But like, I don't know.
I think you're doing all right.
Me too.
Can I ask? Let's pretend that Matthew's not listening. How many pairs of running shoes do you have?
Do you know, I'm quite good. I do turn them over quite quickly, I must admit. On Strava it tells you how many miles you've done. So obviously I've got probably 2 pairs of full-on trail shoes, 1 pair of like ATRs, all terrains. I've got a few in boxes upstairs actually that are in the wings waiting. But I will sell my old. I know this sounds disgusting, but I will sell my old shoes. There's nothing wrong with them, but they may have done like 400 or 500 miles, and if I put them on Facebook Marketplace, or they're really. I mean, Matthew, bless him, he used to wash his football boots when he went to boarding school, and so he takes great pride in washing my shoes, spraying them with Febreze. So if I can get like £40 for that, goes towards the next pair, if you see what.
Yeah, sure.
There's nothing wrong with the shoes. It's just that for me, I feel like they've just lost that bounce, and
Yeah, I get that.
So
Vintage's a wonderful place.
Everyone needs a Matthew that's going to be doing that sort of gig. That's fantastic. Brilliant.
Okay.
Wow.
I know. You just try to draw breath. I don't know. I was looking. Also, we're speaking at your Strava, and like 3 days ago, you were running around the Pasadena Rose Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. I was in LA.
In LA.
Yeah.
The Pasadena Rose Bowl is where the World Cup final was held in 1994. That is a magical place for a football fan, that particular stadium. So I was like, little going, wow, it's been running around Pasadena 2 days ago or something like that. Now we're sitting speaking to her on a Monday evening.
That's a great stat there. A great bit of knowledge about the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, big old stadium.
Bognor Regis. How hilly is Bognor Regis? Is there hills accessible to you?
Oh yeah, well obviously not on the seafront, but at South Downs, I call them my playground. They're probably half an hour away, so that's where I do a lot of training. It's a place called Cocking. That's it's on the south. Well, it's on the South Downs Way. I'll like drive there and just run. I mean, they're more sloping hills. I like them. They're more runnable hills than the North Downs, which are much more steep and sharp. But it's a beautiful place.
Oh man, this has been one of these conversations that just feels like 10 minutes. It's probably been well over an hour by now, but
it's got dark outside.
It has, yeah. It's the winter.
Yeah.
It feels like very much the autumn has arrived today up in Scotland anyway, Laura. It's particularly chilly. I was thinking about even putting my long johns on. I know, that's just been a whirlwind of information I've been processing, and you've certainly led me to a few Google searches along the way as well, which are now sitting waiting to be going down a rabbit hole. That YouTube rabbit hole that sounds like maybe caught your sparked the Badwater fascination. You're sitting there like, I'll just be fit 30 minutes, and it's 2.5 hours later, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, where did that last 2.5 hours go? I should have been doing strength and conditioning.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, John, have we managed to get through our question set? Are we on to the big questions?
We are, because I don't want to ask anything else about the 12 marathons in 12 days, 52 marathons in 52 weeks, because that's another episode. Okay. I think that's an invite back that I think we can have Laura back to speak about again. So I think
double century marathon episode.
Wow, yeah.
I'm hoping spring next year should be that.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Wow.
Brilliant.
Yes.
So I've got 2 questions, Stephen.
2 questions. First question's from me.
Okay.
Dialect dictionary. It's a word, a phrase, a term, maybe someplace, something that you're used to using from where you're from, picked up along the way.
Yep. That's give me a lot of thought, this question. It's
God.
because being from Essex originally, I didn't feel I had any dialect to kind of share with you guys. I did have two answers, but I think I'll share the word roadkill with you. I don't know if you've heard this before. We refer to like other runners in front of me as roadkill, because I'm the sort of runner that I'll start off slow, but I reel people in. And especially guys don't like to be chicked, but taken over by a girl. So Matthew is sort of, says, "Oh, there's roadkill in front of you. Go and get them." A bit of trying to motivate me. So yeah, that's probably my word dictionary.
Sounds like a Debbie Martin Kinsani type term as well, I must say. Yeah, she's like a bit of roadkill. She likes taking souls.
Yeah, taking a scout.
It's, so between the death bus and roadkill, do you know, there's a theme emerging here, Laura.
Yeah.
But that's a great motivator, isn't it? When you see the top, especially if the person like that you have to wear a backlight for the darker moments in the race, and you can just see that you're reeling them in.
Yes.
And then you go past them and you just get them away. Hiya, you all right?
Hi, you're right. Well done.
Well done, looking strong.
Yeah. But I'm looking stronger. And then hope they don't catch me up later and I'm not their roadkill.
This is it. You don't want to be roadkilled back. No, that's a great term. Thank you very much. It's in the dialect dictionary. Or that's something that's another thing you can add to your CV, an entry into the Young Hearts Run Free dialect.
Is there an actual copy of the dictionary? Because I was googling it, because I would love to read everyone's.
John compiles a handwritten version of it that's going to print in 2027 once it's got 800 entries in. Hey, Sean.
Yeah, so I've been practicing calligraphy. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. See, this is
I'll be pre-ordering it.
Wait a minute.
Oh, there's the show.
Yeah, pre-order and pay it up. Right. It's like buying a ticket for a concert 2 years down the line.
Our final question is a musical one, Laura. And I don't know, do you listen to music or podcasts when you're running, or do you just do nature? What's your preference?
I love music, and I listen to I wear the Shocks headphones, but the ones they've got they don't connect to your phone, because I sometimes I don't want to take my phone, and I don't want to use the battery up on my phone, so they're the ones where you have to preload the songs.
Okay.
So, I think that because you can use them for swimming, not that I really swim, but anyway, so I've always got the same. I do try, and every so often I'll change my playlist, but I do always listen to music.
Well, this can sometimes be a difficult question for people, because what one song would you like to share with the Young Hearts Run Free listeners, Laura? What is Laura Watts going to add into the playlist?
That's been another really, really tough one, because I love, as I said, I love all sorts of music. I love things like Kylie, Whitney Houston. I love power songs, George Benson. I've got such a wide range of music, and I have narrowed it down to 2. One is motivational and one is reflective. And I think I'm going to go with the motivational one. I did mention earlier, Matthew plays some AC/DC when I was at the foot of Mount Whitney, and the song is Thunderstruck. And that song gets me going. It gets me pumped. It's so like powerful. At the White Horse 100, in fact, it was the middle of the night, and we were just down a country lane, and Matthew was just like curb crawling along next to me. He had the windows down again, put Thunderstruck on, and I was like, yes, this is a tune. This is, gets me up.
It's also one of the start tunes at the Lakeland 100
Is
on the
it?
Friday night. It's also the last song, the start tune at the Ochterada Running Festival, 10K and half marathon. So we agree, it is motivational and it's going on the playlist. But give us a reflectional one as well.
Oh, that is by Heather Small of M People. Proud, because I am just really, really proud of myself.
Brilliant.
I'm adding both in to the playlist.
I'm getting a wee bit emotional because I love that song. Absolutely love that song.
Yeah, it's.
What have you done? What have you done today to make yourself proud? Phenomenal. Great tune.
I think we should play that one as our outro music, John.
Yeah, it would fit brilliant.
Yeah.
It would fit brilliant. Yeah, because what we do is, Laura, as we start speaking, that'll just come in. Oh,
Fantastic.
Goosebumps.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Belters.
brilliant.
Thank you.
Badwater, Laura, this has been a quite phenomenal chat. I knew it was going to be a belter, and it's turned out that way. Thank you so much. You've given us a really rich story of your journey from your start of running into the marathons and then speaking about specifically about Badwater. But you've also, I think, described really well the process and the dream and how other people that they can relate to, and they might be filling in application forms as well. So I love that. And maybe they'll think about, maybe it won't be January 2025, but it might be 26, 27. Maybe they'll use 25, 26 to build up to doing that. But I've thoroughly enjoyed this. I'm going to hand over to Stephen to do a final cheerio, but thank you so much for your time, Laura. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thank you, John.
As have I, Laura. It's been great to get to meet you. Great to get the privilege to chat to you as well. A Badwater veteran ×3, by the way, and that is something that I'm sure would have just been in your dreams a few years back. But here we are sitting chatting about it and speaking about number 4. So Laura, it's inspirational what you're doing, and I'm sure, like John says, there'll be a few people away off googling Badwater 135 and its entry criteria after hearing from you, Laura. So it's been really, really great hour. Well, maybe a wee bit more actually, as is our usual.
No, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. I've loved it. It's been brilliant. So thank you. And yeah, anyone listening who is interested in Badwater, please get in touch with me. It's my favourite subject. I'd love to give you any more information, but I'd say just follow your ultra running dreams.